From May 10th to 14th, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva visited China. This was no ordinary diplomatic visit, it significantly elevated Sino-Brazilian relations. The two countries issued a joint statement with 31 agreements covering politics, economy, industry, technology, and other aspects, reflecting all-round and in-depth cooperation. This direct cooperation has upgraded the Sino-Brazilian relationship from good friends to ironclad allies. Brazil also renewed a 190 billion yuan currency swap agreement with China. What does this mean? It means that the two countries are closely bound together economically and are moving forward hand in hand. Incidentally, this move has also undermined the US economy. But why does it undermine the US economy? Let's start from the root. Sino-US trade is no longer what it used to be. In the past, China imported high-tech products such as mobile phones, computers, and high-end medical devices from the United States. However, with China's industrial upgrading, the so-called high-tech advantages of the United States are no longer remarkable. Currently, the largest imports from the US are agricultural products such as soybeans, corn, and beef. Don't underestimate these agricultural products. They are not just for filling stomachs. They are closely linked to people's livelihoods and manufacturing industries in China. Corn can be used to make biodegradable plastics, ethanol fuel, and industrial adhesives. Soybeans can be turned into biodiesel and are also commonly used in the food industry. They are essential raw materials for China's development. During the US-China trade war initiated by Trump, China began to consider what would happen if the US, out of pettiness, stopped selling these products. After searching, Brazil emerged as the perfect partner. Brazil is a major player in the global resources market. It is the world's largest exporter of beef and soybeans and the second largest producer of iron ore. It is also an important producer of manganese, aluminum, nickel, and tin ores, all of which China urgently needs. Coincidentally, what Brazil lacks most are the industrial products that China is best at producing, such as mobile phones, computers, air conditioners, cars, and the wide variety of small commodities from you. The Brazilian market has a huge demand for these products. Isn't this a match made in heaven? Therefore, over the past decade or so, the relationship between China and Brazil has become increasingly close. Brazilian President Lula is a globally renowned leader who is friendly to China. He has publicly criticized the US and supported China on many occasions, showing a firm stance. However, while the ideal is promising, the reality is harsh. As can be seen from the map, China and Brazil are at opposite ends of the earth, with an extremely long distance between them. High trade costs are not the only problem, there are also many hidden risks. If taking the Panama Canal, the distance is long, and more importantly, the US is waiting there, ready to put pressure on China at any time. Taking the Strait of Magellan in the south will directly increase transportation costs, making it completely uneconomical. For many years, this distance problem has been like an insurmountable obstacle, firmly restricting trade between China and South American countries, preventing a major breakthrough in trade volume. So, how to solve this major problem? China, known as the infrastructure superpower in the world, is not daunted by any difficulties. After research, a solution was quickly proposed: building roads and ports. China's 8 vertical and 8 horizontal railway network is world famous. Now, China plans to build a similar network in South America and build several more ports on the west coast of South America. In this way, South American commodities can smoothly enter the Chinese market, and Chinese industrial products can also more quickly reach the households of South Americans. As soon as Brazil heard this plan, its eyes lit up. This plan seemed tailor-made for them, and they immediately agreed. Thus, China's South American construction plan officially kicked off. First, let's talk about port construction. In 2011, China and Peru signed an agreement to develop the port of Chancay, planning to build a deep-water port on the west coast of South America that can berth 100,000-ton cargo ships. As soon as this news was announced, the US, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, became extremely anxious. Why? They were afraid that South America would completely turn to China. In the following years, the US frequently interfered in Peru's internal affairs, supporting one president one day and overthrowing another the next. They also spread rumors that the port of Chancay was for military use. Under the interference of the US, from 2011 to 2021, the construction of the port of Chancay stagnated for a full decade. However, China does not give up easily. In 2021, COSCO Shipping Group took action and successfully obtained the exclusive right to operate the port of Chancay for 30 years. In just 3 years, it turned the port of Chancay into a world-class port. In 2024, the port of Chancay was officially put into operation. Chilean cherries can now reach the Chinese market quickly by direct transportation. This is an important reason why the price of cherries has dropped significantly since 2024, indicating that China's layout in South America has begun to take effect. However, having ports alone is not enough. Railways are also needed to connect all South American countries. When Trump launched his tariff war, our team immediately departed for Brazil to investigate the feasibility of building a railway. Thus, the ambitious Transcontinental Railway project across South America was put on the agenda. At the time, US media reported that China planned to reboot South America with this visionary railway initiative. Once completed, it would connect 3 countries and provide a direct transportation route to Asia, bypassing the Panama Canal entirely. Multiple institutions have assessed that after the Transcontinental Railway's completion, transportation costs for China-Brazil trade will decrease by at least 20%. While also saving a significant amount of canal tolls. Cargo ship voyage times will be cut from 40 days to just 23 days. What does this signify? It's like installing a supercharged engine for China-Brazil trade, enabling it to grow faster and reach further. Do you think only Peru and Brazil are participating in this opportunity? Far from it. South American nations have sharp eyes seeing the enormous benefits of collaborating with China. They're rushing to join. Bolivia proactively approached us to ask if the Transcontinental Railway could pass through its territory. The Nicaraguan government begged for our help to build the landing port. Venezuela directly announced it would settle oil transactions in RMB. Colombia also explicitly stated it is considering joining the BRICS. This scene is like China raising its arm and South American nations responding in unison. Once a fragmented region, Latin America is now showing signs of integration because of our involvement. If we launch a 5 to 10-year infrastructure plan in Brazil, completing a South American 8 vertical and 8 horizontal network, who's to say South America won't become the second ASEAN? Remember, ASEAN is currently our largest trading partner. What would that mean? Let that sink in. Once our South American strategy succeeds, imagine the scene. Peruvian blueberries and avocados, Brazilian coffee, soybeans, corn, and iron ore, Ecuadorian bananas and cocoa, Venezuelan oil all pouring into the Chinese market like a floodgate opened. More crucially, with the currency swap agreement in place, these international transactions can bypass the US dollar and use RMB directly. Historically, South America was called America's backyard, but now, this backyard is in open rebellion. The US must be crying in despair. A look at history explains why South American nations have long suffered under US exploitation. Decades of economic resource extraction have not only stalled their industrial development, but pushed many into regression. Argentina is the starkest example. Once a global economic power with Buenos Aires called the Paris of South America, now its economy lies in ruins, visible to all. South American countries have long wanted to resist, but they lacked a leader. Now, with the rise of the Eastern Dragon China, they've found their anchor and are rallying around us. And it's not just South America. Africa, Southeast Asia, the Middle East all are actively collaborating with China. Even traditional US allies in Europe are drifting apart from America. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China upholds the principle of win-win cooperation, continuously expanding its circle of friends. Does this strategy feel familiar? Yes, it's the international application of Chairman Mao's encircling the cities from the countryside strategy. By uniting developing nations to pursue shared growth, we're gradually eroding America's global dominance. When the critical turning point arrives, a new era will dawn. Consider the contrast. On one side, China collaborates with South America to build infrastructure, ports, and railways. On the other, the US wields tariff sticks to extract wealth from other nations. With such a stark difference in behavior, it's natural for other countries' priorities to shift toward us. Once isolated on the international stage, surrounded by powers, China now takes the initiative, building a global community with a shared future. Behind this transformation is the Chinese nation's 70 years of unremitting effort, the vision and struggle of countless predecessors. We are steadily moving toward the center of the world stage, writing a new chapter of Chinese glory.